Hi there, Glocal citizens. Welcome back to the podcast that inspires a borderless mindset around manifesting a new world. I am your host, Florence Adu, coming to you from a very hot afternoon in Accra. And I'm not complaining. You know, I don't complain about the sun and the heat, but I feel like the deforestation that has been taking place here in Ghana for the past several years is really catching up to us because there's just so much more dust than I remember. You know, I always talk about Harmattan, et cetera, but climate change is real, or almost like environmental change is real. I'm not saying climate change, but I mean, I guess it's inadvertently kind of the same story. But a lot of that, anyway, we're not going to talk about that right now. It's just hot, but we're happy. And I'm so excited for this conversation because this is the genesis of my last journey, which was to Nairobi, where I met some amazing people, felt an amazing vibe in the country. And so I'm just so happy to introduce my guest as part of our March Her Story series, because what she does is all about her stories. So let me get to her bio. She is a dynamic and high-energy transformational life coach with global experience leading professionals from various business sectors to unlock their true potential and achieve purpose and impact in their careers. She is a sought-after resource in the corporate space and at an individual level. Her impressive client base spans medical doctors, educational leaders, performance artists, business owners, ministers, politicians, C-suite executives, and corporate VPs across 4 continents. Coach Vuyanzi Rodman, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, yay. Hello.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Okay, so let's jump right in. Let's get started. Where are you from? Where are you local? And what is your craft?
Where am I from?
Mm-hmm.
I'm sarcastic, so I say my mother's womb.
Yeah.
After that,
I like it.
So, and my sarcasm should give a little bit of it away. Originally from the New York, New Jersey area.
Okay.
And I am here in Nairobi, Kenya.
Mm-hmm. Okay. What is your craft?
I am a transformational life coach. I am also a speaker, and you can intertwine with that workshop facilitator as well.
All right. So let's roll it back a little bit. Let's peel it back. So New York, New Jersey to Nairobi. I should ask why the where, but I want to know more about it because I also spend half my time in New York. Tell us about you're from. Tell us a little bit more about the New York, New Jersey that is what brought you up.
Yeah. So I love to say it this way because it's so true. I actually grew up in a village in New York, right on the river. It actually literally is a village called the Village of Piermont. And that's where I grew up with my grandparents. So I was actually raised by my grandparents for the first 14 years of my life, and a child of separation and divorce. So it was my grandparents stepped in to help me. And then when I got to be 14, and by the way, I just want to be clear, I would see my mom on the weekends and holidays and all that good stuff. So I wasn't like separated. I visited my mom on weekends and holidays. And then when I got 14, I was given the choice. I come from that family where they actually gave choices, and I could stay with my grandparents or I could go live with my mom. And I have older sisters. So I chose to go to high school when I was 14. I moved with my mother in a place called Teaneck, New Jersey. Now that's not much bigger. It's a township. And I stayed there into adulthood for much of the time. And I like to put it like this. I moved to Teaneck, New Jersey when I was 14. And then I returned back to Piermont, switch around the numbers, when I was 41. So I actually wound up going back to the village that I used to. And yeah, it was very different. So I come from small communities. I come from communities that kind of, you know someone who knew you or knows a relative of yours or something like that. That is my background. So I must say when I went, I'll to use your word, I guess, Glocal, when I traveled here in the city of Nairobi, this has been very different because it's the first city I ever lived in my entire life. So that's been different. But yet, there's still this small, and I know we'll get more into this, in different ways, but there's still this small community. So I still meet with people who happen to know this one went to high school with this one went to boarding. So it's like it's this intertwined of circles. So even though it's a big city, I like the fact that there is a piece of it that's very small community life.
Sure. So I'm glad you said that, because let's talk about why the where. So how did you come to be living, working, and playing in Nairobi?
Oh my goodness. It actually came about from a funeral. I came here for a funeral. So I need to explain that. One thing I like to kind of give some context, because I meet a lot of, us expats who are here, and people are like, I've been to 10 countries. I've been to 30 countries. I've traveled the world. I am not like that, Florence.
Okay.
You probably could have counted how many countries I've been to on one hand. And I came for a funeral, and it was a relative of a friend who I'd had from the States. And it was my first time not only in Kenya, but on the motherland. So it's my first time even in Africa. And that was just in 2017, not even 10 years ago. And I came for that just to be a support, because you love your friend and you want to support. And lo and behold, like the night before, or the 2 days before I was about to leave, Florence, tears, weeping. I'm like, what is happening? Why am I crying like this? What? I don't understand. And I knew in my body, I was like, okay, I think I have to live here. Like, this is the dialogue in my mind. Like, okay, I think I have to live in this place. I had never imagined. I didn't come here for that. I literally came here for a funeral and I was leaving, but something drew me in, and took from 2017, 2020. I made my first move. I call it my Kenya 1.0 move here. In the midst of things, I actually went back to the States for a year and a half, and I came for Kenya 2.0 in May of 2023. So I just want to be clear though, when I first came Kenya 1.0, it was during COVID. So I came in August of 2020. And
Okay.
I
That's
will
tough.
say this because it's hard for me to articulate what I felt, that I knew I had to live here. And someone put it like this, and maybe you can connect with this. They said the feeling I felt was as if the ancestors grabbed a hold of me and said, we're not going to let you go this time. And that was like that spiritual feeling I had.
Well, I have to say that Kenya is calling me back as well. As soon as
Karima,
I and
come back.
yeah, as soon as so I grew up in Colorado. So I grew up in mountains and altitude and all of that. So as soon as and I hadn't even thought of this, I was just like, I'm just going to go travel another country. I'm one of those travel many countries. And so as soon as I landed and went outside, I was like, wow, I like this place. And then from the airport, like watching all the people walking and seeing like the national park. It's just like the green of it. As soon as I got into town and saw the green of it, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm coming back. So I've already decided I'm spending the Harmattan season there next year. But yeah, there's something about, for me at least, I was just so I can hear you on that most definitely. So let's get into kind of the mechanics of these two moves, right? So you first came and you decided you're moving, but you are an American, and you have to determine, okay, well, how am I going to make a living? How am I going to do this? So before I did a little bit of, watching some of your videos, and before you talk about that mechanics, where were you situated in your life professionally at that time to be able to make that move reality?
It's funny, like, for you to ask me that question like that, because I don't think of it like that. I just think it was what it was and I could move, and that's what it was. But first of all, I quit, and I did like a whole TEDx talk about this. I quit my full-time job back in 2018. So I was not working full-time, and I was doing coaching at the time. Also, I was doing, because I started my career as a teacher, I was also doing some teacher training with a specific educational software as well. So I was contracting there, and I was doing coaching as well. That's where I was. So it wasn't like I was working a full-time job. Now, this is very important, because one of the things I like to say is I am a risk taker, and my path probably is not necessarily the path that I recommend for other people,
Okay.
because I came, and I cannot be here to tell you, oh, I saved this amount of money and I had a good nest egg to survive for. Nope. I came, I had, a little something in my pocket. When I came, I had to even get rid of my contract job because I
Mm.
couldn't work here and
Mhm.
work there. And in fact, I kid you not, and I'm starting to tell stories now of those times because I don't
Mhm.
share all the stories, but within like probably 2 or 3 months of me coming here, there was like a couple of other income streams. I had little income streams. Three of them stopped immediately. One of them I knew was going to stop, but like a couple of other things did not work out. Boom. My income dropped dramatically when I came within the first couple of months. And I did not. There's no inheritance. There's no
Hmm.
nesting. There's no
It's all
dropping
you.
the bill.
It's all you, right?
So there was no rich uncle. So when you're asking me that, like the answer is, yeah, I came, these things happened. I was figuring my way out as I went along. Listen, I lived in a nice apartment without any without any furniture. Oh my gosh. Like, I can't believe I'm telling these stories. Like I had a bed. Yes. I had a dining room table.
Yeah.
However, I didn't have like any real furniture.
Yeah.
And in fact, that's where I met our mutual friend, because
Yes.
we were living in the same complex. And somehow, wow, like I guess I persevered through it. I mean, eventually I did have to go back, and I just want to just kind of put this short note in it that I went back in February of 2022. I thought I was just going back to the United States to just do some money things, get some money, come back in a couple of months. But guess what, right? That couple of months was a year and a half.
Mm.
Not at all the way I would have planned it. But I mean, some things happened. One of them was I didn't know also at the beginning of 2022 that my mom would be gone before the end of the year.
Mm.
So
Mm.
I
Mhm.
am glad that even though it was like I had to, like, oh, I left under duress, so to speak,
Sure.
glad I was in the United States during
Yeah.
that time. My mom was living in New Jersey. My parents were living in New Jersey at the time.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's you asked me one question, girl, you get the whole shit.
Right. So you were in a place where you could be that flexible. And so you left and came back a year later, or a year and a half later. And so then now, how have you established the 2.0?
Yeah, I am working on a contract. That's just part-time, but at least
Yeah.
that's something consistent while I'm building my business.
Hmm.
In terms of coaching and speaking, things are flowing much better. And I believe because it's just supposed to right now.
Sure.
Like it's supposed to be happening. This is the divine time for me to be here, for me to be able to receive whatever it is that is there for me, and doing also some other entrepreneurial things that have nothing to do with my coaching or my speaking. So
Mm.
things feel different.
Hmm.
I'm even of a more open mind. I not saying I was closed minded before, but it was something about being I don't know if this is a word, but I'll just follow me here. It was something about being an untraveled American coming
Mm.
here,
Mm.
something that I wouldn't have recognized at the time. But now looking back,
Hmm.
I recognize where it's kind of like feeling like, oh, I know. Like
Mm.
this,
Hmm. Hmm. Like you
like a
really
bit,
didn't know what you don't know because you thought you knew it all.
girl, that's it. That's it. That's
Right.
it. So,
Yeah.
but now it's like that kind of experience will also humble you too when you
Sure.
have to leave.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So I'm humbled also. I'm listening. I'm open. And I think I'm just in a better place spiritually, emotionally, physically, all those things.
Mhm, mhm, mhm. So you mentioned coming from places of community and finding your footing. So tell us about how you found this community. So another Glocal citizen is actually how we know each other. That's Michelle Donald, who went on her sojourn to Nairobi, loved it there, and that's how we made this connection. And so how have you made a community for yourself?
So I feel like the word community, right? It's almost like an umbrella because I will say I do have a professional community and
Right.
I have been working on building a personal community. And I just had
Mm.
a
Hmm.
conversation with someone today. Professionally really is how I've begun to meet, how I've met most of the
Mm.
people that I've met, more so on a professional basis.
Right.
However, and that's fine. That's fine. However, we're talking about making more of a personal connection where nothing is dependent on you giving me money or me giving you money or us making deals. I was looking for something beyond that, more friendships. That's taken some time.
Yeah.
But now I have to say that now I can say that there are just a few women who I feel that I'm closely connected to that yes, we may do business, but that wasn't the basis of our
Mm.
relationship. I make sure that I'm out there going to events. Kenya is really big on networking or relationship building or connecting. So I have made sure I'm out there meeting people and being myself and being myself. And who is she? She loud. They know, like, it's just how it is. And I think that has helped create and cultivate the people that I know. And really, even in the professional world, the strong women, these amazing women. I just did a photo shoot with a few amazing women that are many of them well known in the country. And I'm just, Florence, I am like in amazement. Like, how did this happen? That this immigrant girl, let me call myself that this immigrant woman,
Yeah.
how is it that I could call on these people and they say yes? And the types of people that these are. So professionally, I feel like, wow, I really have built this community and it's not done yet. And I like even connecting some of those women with other women because many of them have heard of each other, but some of them never having met each other too. So I'm even helping to connect people right here in this country of
Hmm.
origin from this country. And then on the other side of it, I'm building my personal community. And I think, again, it's really just the same way being out, being about, volunteering here, even now, more active in Democrats abroad, Kenya. So making sure, and that's another way of meeting people. So my thing is I'm being open, I'm being involved, I'm getting engaged, and I'm being me.
It feels like because of your craft, you are probably that much better situated to be able to put those dots together and bring it together. So I want to turn the conversation a little bit more to the craft of coaching because everyone's not a coach. Everyone can't be a coach. So it's really how do you recognize? So you're an educator and so you're in these spaces and teachers are coaches, often, you're cheerleading for people. You're really kind of trying to build skills and all of those things. So I could see that kind of being an inherent part of that. But to go out and then now coach so many different levels of individuals and then also honing into focusing on women, which is obvious. I can see why you did that. But getting to the coaching side of things, what attracted you and how did you prepare yourself to be a professional coach?
Yeah, yeah. Well, what attracted me was like the personal development space, which
Mm.
I got introduced to many years ago. So I don't know what your exposure is to multi-level marketing
Mm.
back
Hmm.
in the day, like Amway
Yeah.
and those types of things. However, regardless of what anyone may think about the companies, one of the things that they introduced me to was the idea of reading for growth, for personal growth. And so
Mm.
that put me in that space of personal growth. And eventually that would evolve because then I would look for things, whether they're workshops, books, whatever it was, to grow. And later on, I remember there was a point where there was some personal development workshop being offered in where I was living. And I was like, oh, I'll go to it. And the two women who were running it were coaches.
Hmm.
And that was the first time that I had actually heard of this thing called coaching. That intrigued me. And then when I saw what it was that they were doing, that they were helping people grow. And in fact, I wound up working with both of them at one point or another. I'm like, oh, I want to do this. However, it took me 10 years to actually make a commitment to doing it. And so that comes in where I quit my job. And it's almost like I had put that on the back burner being a coach, but I quit my job knowing I wanted something more. And I don't even think I remembered at the time that I quit that I wanted to be a coach. But within a few months after that, like it came to me, wait a minute, I wanted to coach. So I found a school, a very small school where the owner herself actually taught the classes. It was online. And because I do believe as an educator, right, I do believe in preparation because many of people can call themselves coaches, but really understanding what a coach is. And I say the most important skill that I learned as a coach was to listen. And that wasn't necessarily inherent for my teaching at all. It has taught me and continues to teach me how to listen, like really listen to what is being said and what is not being said. So then I can, create questions and do exercises that really speak to the people as well. So yeah, that is how I got into preparation.
Okay. And so when you're in it with a client and in the coaching space, how do you measure your wins?
By the results they get. So let's think of it this way. Like my tagline is, I help Black women leaders make career transitions with ease. So women come to me about just that, career transitions. I want to be promoted in my job, or I want to start a business, or I want to start an organization. So nearly 100% of the time, that's why a woman will reach out to me. Now, as we go along, I think it's important to mention I'm also a law of attraction coach. So as we go along, there are nuggets of manifestation that they're getting as well. So the wins are, well, first and foremost, is self-awareness, where they are aware of where they are, what they're doing, like where they are in their bodies, spiritually, emotionally. And then what grows after that? The mindset. And then you actually start to see things happen. People have opened up businesses. People all of a sudden attract business that they want. People start taking action. So that is how I measure the wins, by actually seeing the fruit of it. And even I was taking a glimpse of them yesterday, some recommendations on LinkedIn. And so people will say, I started like this. However, I ended like this. This is what I got. And people, when they're aware, they'll start making connections that some of these things that happen in their life at this specific time, it's not a coincidence, but it's the mindset that has shifted and now allows them to receive and to see and to get all those things that they truly desire and to make the moves that they truly desire in their lives.
And so when particularly Black women come to you, and over the years have been coming to you, what are the top 3 roadblocks that you see all the time? And especially, now we're in such a trying time and we keep saying, we keep saying the same things, but what are the top 3 that typically come to you?
Confidence. Because as much as these women are, because most of them also are over 40 and they've made their marks. Like, so you may look at these women and say, they're good. They wouldn't need coaching. However, they see that there's something more. So confidence is one of the things. Also looking for their purpose. The reason why there's something inside of them that is shifting, that's saying, no more business as usual. Something needs to change. So it's defining or discovering their purpose, or aligning, I should say, with their purpose. And then finally, I'll say this, but no one says it until it happens. But it's almost like healing. Healing
They're in
transpires.
search of,
Whereas, I'm not talking about any televangelist funny business. Send me $20, I'll send you a handkerchief, nothing like that.
Yeah.
But it is some emotional healing. A lot of Black women, and I'm sure all women, but have gone through some stuff, have gone
A lot of
through
trauma.
some stuff that many times they don't even realize it's still in their bodies, and they're still reacting to it, and they're still living like, a trauma induced little girl. And so, but that one, I'll say they come to me for, but not knowing. So nobody comes to me, hey, I want healing, but they will say, I think I need more confidence, or I really want to find out my purpose. So those are some of the types of things, or mindset. And some of them actually will say, I know my mindset needs to change. Oh, and also fear. I said, I know you asked me for three things. Sorry. But I
No. But yeah,
also
that's confidence, ties to confidence.
fear
Yeah.
is a big thing too. A lot of people, they
Yeah.
know that they are fearful. Sometimes it's of the unknown. Sometimes it's success. People have fear of success as well as fear of failure too.
Sure. So you've been able to, you have a strong online presence. And so you've been able to build a community online through YouTube and through different avenues. And this goes to kind of your business development. How do you strategize around that? And what kind of, just thinking about how you build the packages and brand yourself and put yourself out there. How did you think about it? Or did it just happen? Like, did you really kind of really, between writing books and being online, how did you come up with that?
Yeah, well, I will say about over the years, how did I come up with it?
Mhm.
About $10,000+ by hiring coaches.
Oh, there
Yeah,
you go. Good. I like that.
yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
nothing by myself. Coaching, like I used to do a lot of free stuff. Oh, they're having a free challenge here, free challenge there. But in 2020, before COVID hit, and maybe a little bit of 2019, I was like, no, you know what? I got to invest money. If I want people to invest money in
Hmm.
me, I need to make sure I'm
Hmm.
investing money in myself. So I've had an empowerment coach. I've had an empowerment coach. I've had a business coach. I've joined programs for developing one's coaching business. I've had,
Mm.
multiple. I've had a branding coach. Even more recently, I did business strategy. I had a business strategy coach. So I've had coaching over the years. And so the
Mm.
program that I have today, which is called the Career Passion Accelerator, has evolved over time during the coaches and the information, the coaches that I've had, the coaching that I've had, the programs that I've been a part of. It's evolved up until what it is now. And also I'm not afraid to modify, change as I go along, because I know I don't
Hmm.
know everything. So no, it didn't just happen. This was intentional. The program now and what it's come to be, the fact that it's part digital and then also part one-on-one, and even the fact that
Mm.
actually I'm going to be focusing over the next probably 60 days, focusing on building just the digital only program. And if people who want to work with me, that'll be a little bit different, a higher ticket, so to speak, type program.
Yeah.
So that's how I've come to the Career Passion Accelerator in the year 2025, is because of that. A lot of help,
Hmm.
a lot of
Hmm.
money, and a lot of
Hmm.
money that I don't, there's no regrets here. A lot of money has been
Sure.
spent. I wouldn't change it for anything because I've gotten so much knowledge and understanding around it.
And so it seems like that's a key tip, to share with women, to share with entrepreneurs, that investing in yourself is the foundation of building a strong base for operations.
Yeah, because even yesterday I was speaking to someone. So I told her my price. She's like, "Oh, that's so much money." So instead of even thinking about how much one is spending, we need to think about what are the results that we get from spending what we spend. I asked her, so if you were to, if your mindset were to change, you were to get clarity on your future, you were to build action steps around it, really lean into your why. What is that worth to you? There's no, what do you say? Kind of, it's price. And I said, so what I'm saying, I mean, it's just a drop in the bucket for what you're going to get. And I'm not about coercing people. However, I wanted her and everyone who listens to this to understand, when we're talking about, it's not spending, it is literally investing. Because yeah, I may
Right.
tell you I've spent over $10,000, but if you ask me how much I've gotten, I mean, way more than that.
I live a
Yeah.
life. Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah. You make a living.
Yes,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah. Yeah.
absolutely.
I mean, yeah, I think after a certain point, you invest in institutions of education, right? Because they've kind of created these programs to some extent that are a curriculum that someone has recognized and gives it that. But then when it's in this place where it's customized, that's where it becomes this bigger question mark, right? It's like, oh, but is it worth it? Is it not worth it? Is it this, that, or the other? And so, particularly now, that you are an American working in Africa. And I'm assuming your clients are from all over the place, but culturally now thinking about this relationship, how have you been navigating that, being able to coach women who come from a whole different, not, I mean, there's nuance, but by and large, there's what I've observed is because Kenya, I mean, patriarchy is at a different level there. So when you're thinking about women, empowering themselves in, say, Kenya or many other African countries, how do you experience breaking through those barriers and empowering those kinds of women?
I will tell you honestly, as far as the coaching part, it doesn't change because everyone is coached the same way. So the way
Yeah.
ICF, what is it, International Coaching Federation, one of the ways you're coached is that
Mm.
every person who comes to you is whole, creative, and resourceful. So for me, I literally take that. And so it doesn't change whether someone is in Africa or North America. If I see you like that, then I still am led. I'm an intuitive person, spirit led, God led, that I will still ask you. You come to me for a specific reason, and I will still ask you the same questions. And so that means the way I have been trained as a coach, it means that culture actually, it's not minimizing it, but it doesn't matter with how I do it because people are still moving the needle. Now, if you ask about me and how I speak when I'm speaking before audience, it may
Yeah.
be how do I change it? Well, number one, I use a lot more biblical references. It just seems to be
Oh, okay. It works. It
please, in the
works.
States, God forbid. I mean, if you say something, someone's like, I'm offended. She said God, she's trying to make us go to church,
Yeah.
something like that. So number one, I just actually just infuse biblical stuff a whole lot more in mainstream spaces. And
Uh-huh.
also
Mm-hmm.
I'm how do I say this? This is the first time I'm articulating this out loud. So in America, I'm very
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, in America, wherever I am, I'm very much an African American. Like I was a single
Mm.
parent with two baby daddies not doing what they're supposed to do. I'm saying this for a reason because then I grew kind of hard, like, like I don't need no guy to be doing this or whatever. Like, I got this. It's not as strong here. Me being like that, I'm kind of, well,
Right.
number one, I don't want to be in that energy anyway, right? It's very masculine
Sure.
energy. And I don't think it serves me at this juncture. Maybe at some point it did. However, I don't think that energy serves me. And it's very masculine. And also that would turn people off here because the very thing you're saying, right? The patriarchy, even for women who are saying that they are empowered, it's still that heaviness of the patriarchy. So I'm not coming out with guns a blazing with that. However, I am still empowering women to be who they are. I don't know if it makes sense in my head. I'm not sure if I'm articulating it though correctly, but that's probably the thing that has changed more so was when I have a mic in my hand.
No, I can totally understand because and I think you have explained it effectively, particularly, because those coming from cultures that are a little bit more, where religion is like church and state is not this big divide as it is kind of in the US, where religion is more integrated into kind of everyone's interactions. And not just Christianity, but also Islam and other religions. I mean, Nairobi is such a diverse
Oh
town,
my gosh, like
so
absolutely, absolutely.
yeah, yeah. And everyone has their spiritual beliefs and they're pretty strong, quite honestly, so it's not like there's well, I mean, it's mostly Christian, but not one that necessarily overpowers all the other ones because you do have at least three distinct spiritual presences. Yeah. Huh. Very interesting. So let's get a bit local. And I want to ask you about glocal speak. So this is a word, a phrase, or a saying that is a meaningful part of your local experience and why or how you come to value it as glocal speak.
Yeah, as so what and maybe I don't hear it as often now, but something that means so much to me is welcome home. That for me
Oh,
has been Florence, I don't even have words to tell you. Like when first of all, they can't believe that you're real Black American? Like, that's what I get. Are you a real, as opposed to maybe a fake one? I don't know. However, when they say, when Kenyan says, well, welcome home. Oh, that thing has done something to just to make me feel so good. Like you've been missing, like you were away,
Mm-hmm.
but you came back.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We know you're one. Look at your skin. You're here. You're
Yeah.
home.
Right.
That
Yeah.
thing has been so warm, so inviting, whether it's someone that I'm actually meeting with that has said that, or even an Uber driver who has said that thing for me. Like, I even feel like the tears welling up. That thing has just meant so much to me, that welcome home.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. So speaking of that sense of home, I found that when interacting, and this could be a function of just Kenya's economy being very tourist based and service oriented because they have the safaris and that's been a big part of it. But I found that the sense of citizenship in terms of understanding civics and understanding their history was way deeper, I feel, than, I'll be honest, in Accra and then even in the US, right? So, we go to school. I know civics education has been like gone for a really long time in the US to some extent. I mean, I think I know, I haven't heard any of my younger nieces and nephews talk about it. Maybe they do. Maybe I'm just out of touch, but I just generally found that when I had conversations with Kenyans, they really had a really, long understanding of where they were situated and the politics around it. And so how have you kind of used that as part of your, local university, and what are your impressions of that citizenship notion?
I agree wholeheartedly with you. And in fact, I can't, maybe I shouldn't use the words that I've used when I've spoken to my kids about it. I'm like, yo, we're just dumb in the States. And I know somebody's going to get offended, whatevs, man, because my bachelor's degree is in what? My bachelor's degree is in history. But the way your average Joe knows history and understands their history in this country far surpasses any degree that I paid a lot of money for. And it's just, so I am impressed by that because, like, I don't, besides Black history in America, I don't know that I am so vested anymore in understanding so many more things because of what I get to know about the American culture and how it is and why it is. And especially at the time we're talking maybe it's always been tumultuous, but feeling extra tumultuous. I'm just like, screw it. Like, let me just focus on here. Let me find out what I can from here.
Yeah.
And just understand how they came to be and how to even, because now I'm also finding out that there is a rich history from, like, I guess the 70s and East Africa, African American coming over here. And I want to, so for me right now, you know what, Florence, I'm in a place that I want to find out more. I want to find out more. It's in Tanzania. I'm sure you know about it. The couple who was the Black Panthers, and they escaped back in like the 1970s or something. And they're over there in Arusha in Tanzania. Like, you can go and stay there. So I just had a talk with someone this week and they said, okay, in a few months, we're going to stay at their place just to hear some of the history, even our history here. When I say our, African American history here, and understanding more about the richness. So I'm amazed by it. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. I love it.
I believe that we are in a Pan-African Renaissance. And so, to your point of people going and finding where there was, because Pan-Africanism, that's when it was, it was the meaningful part of what revolutionized so many of our African countries. And then obviously by design, it was dismantled, dysfunctionalized, but we are in a renaissance. And so I love to hear that you are moving in that direction. And I think that is necessarily the answer and the antidote to the Billionaire Boys Club, as I like to call it, because that we're in a place where that is public enemy number one. Let's just call it what it is.
Seriously.
Yeah. So very interesting. Okay. So Let's talk about mindset hacks. So as a coach, you're always coming up with ways that you can empower people to do a number of things. So tell us what your mindset hacks are, and then tell us a little bit more. Give us a little teaser, a little bit of free knowledge from the coach. What are some of your go-tos for your clients?
Yeah. So mindset hacks. I thought about this and okay, so it's biblically based, but it doesn't matter what religion you are. So it's the
Sure.
as if, right? That's how you manifest something. You act as if. And what do I mean biblically based? Like there's this verse that says something like, when you pray, believe that you have received.
It's already happened.
That
Yes.
is the as if like principle. So mindset hack, act as if you have the thing that you want to have. If I believe I have a super successful business, then guess what? I don't say, well, I'm not going to focus on everything I don't have. Let me act as if I'm already there. And this could be for anyone. If you are a person who wants to travel more, we'll stop focusing on that. Maybe right now the resources aren't there. You act like it is. So start even cut out souvenirs or not. I guess no one has, oh my goodness, what is this, 1988? Maybe print. maybe print out some pictures of as if you've been on these trips and you have souvenirs from places. Act as if, shift into your body into that state and hold that state as long as you can. That is my mindset hack. I'm sorry. And what was the other question?
So the mindset hack that you, or hacks that you typically prescribe for your client.
Well, I guess that kind of was one of
That's it.
that
Yeah.
them. And also, or I'd like to say I offer to them, right? I don't necessarily prescribe, but I'll offer it as something, but also even around affirmations, which get a bad rap. And I say they get a bad rap because I think the idea of positive affirmation statements, it's lost. But this is really about changing the or unlearning and relearning, deprogramming, reprogramming the subconscious mind. So what do I mean by positive affirmation statements? Well, we can connect it to the whole idea of that mindset hack of as if. So now you're declaring. So this is a little bit, I like to always point to the biblical side because a lot of people who come to me are spiritual. They're not all Christian, but there's some type of spirituality. So there's this verse that says, declare a thing and it shall be established. And it says something like, it'll light the way ahead. So positive affirmation statements are declarations. And when we say them in the present tense. You don't say, I will be, I just keep saying successful business owner for lack of a better example right now.
Sure.
I will be. You don't say I will be. You say I am. And then you say the thing that you are. You could start it off very, very simple like that. And they're not one and done. And you may not even believe it. This is the thing, right? I'll say, you may not believe it when you first start saying this. Your body may be like, no, you're not, but you keep doing it because this is subconscious. And remember, 90% of the way we act, how we think, our behavior comes from the subconscious. The subconscious mind runs 90% of our behavior. So that means when we have to go push beyond our logical, it's not logical, our conscious mind and get to the subconscious. So saying positive affirmation statements daily, I like writing them too, because I think there's energy. This can help keep going to reprogram. Listen, I do positive affirmation. I call them positive affirmation goal statements, but I write them down and then I record them and send them to a friend. Now, I have been doing that for today makes 452 days in a row. So, but I have to go hard or go home. I've had many years of programming, not necessarily all in the right things, that's no shame to how I was raised. It's just what it is.
Yeah.
So those are so I've given a couple of mindset hacks that people can change their lives today and build it as a practice.
Right. So I'm all for it. It makes perfect sense. And I can say that West Africa is is a fake it till you make it culture. So everything that you're saying about this, I think the spirituality plays into that, because you have, every Jill and or every Nana and every Kofi who is selling themselves as something that they just may not be. So, which is good because they're going to eventually get there. But when you think about how to get there and equip yourself, like when you can say it, but how do you then break through on the steps? Right. So you believe in this, but like imparting to someone, sure, you can say it a lot. But some people don't have the access to the resources of people and all, the other things that actually activate it so that it makes it a reality that they're successful at.
Well, I believe everyone can start also wherever they are. So,
Okay.
so
Yeah.
okay, this is a good example. Someone who I know, you say she works for me. I don't want to say too much more than that, but she works for me. So she's of humble means. However, we did these principles that I'm talking about with you. Her goal was to open a store. I will tell you that somehow, some way, because she believed it. I mean, also, I cannot minimize the power of belief that she believed that she could do it. And before her set goal, that store was open. So, and it's still open
Okay.
now. This is like over a year and change later. So number one, yes, we can look at, the reality of resources. However, I have to go back to, we are powerful people. And
Yeah.
it
We
is
are
about,
manifestors.
and what's coming up for me, Florence, is the collective. And what I mean by that, the collective can go either way. So if I say this president he's harsh, is terrible, we have so many taxes. I'm talking about the president of Kenya, and we can't make it. He's making it hard for us. There's a collective that is thinking that we can't move because of him. It's true then. It's true. I can join in. There is power. There is power behind those words. And so therefore it can look like I'll never get the resources to get what I want. So now maybe I got to do wrong. Now I got to maybe scam a little, lie a little, to the left, to
Yes.
the right, but not straight. So I think we also need to think about the power of collective. I was actually just talking to that young woman again yesterday, and I said, yo, if you're hearing people just complaining, don't chime in, move,
Exactly.
move.
Yes.
And you start where you are. Listen, her store, I didn't say she opened up Nordstrom, or I was going to think of a store from the
Right.
States, or some big store. What's some big store here? Right now I can't think. I didn't say she opened up a
Macy's. Oh.
Macy's or
Or was it Waikiki?
oh yes, Waikiki. Right. I'm not saying she opened up
Yeah.
that, but she started where she was. So number one,
Yeah.
do not underestimate how powerful you are. We are creators. God made us like that. Number two, don't underestimate if that's number one is true, then don't underestimate the power of the collective for good and for the bad. The power of the collective that serves you and the power of the collective that is not serving your life. And number three, then you start where you are. Start moving, do
Yeah.
something. Start
Yeah.
where you are.
Yeah. Yeah.
I get very passionate
I
about
love
these
that.
things. Anyway,
I love that. I'm so happy that because that is the solution. That is that is the Pan African thread that I am hoping, because we all have the same complaints about leadership. And so I intently, whenever people go down that hole, I say, okay, where are we starting? So we really need that ethic of how do we organize ourselves? And you're right about the collective. So I love that. That's so awesome. Thank you. Thank you for that. And so we talked all about work and all that good stuff. And you are a writer. So I want to know a little bit more about your books, but then I want to also ask, are you a reader, a watcher, or a listener? And what are some of your favorite reads, watches, or listens?
Yeah, I have co-authored 5 books. I think it's 5 or 6 books at this point.
Uh-huh.
Oh my
Uh-huh.
goodness. One is What is Your Superpower anthology. One was The Power of Perseverance anthology. One was about navigating one's way through grief. Listen, I manifested these books and I can't even remember all the I can't even remember all the titles now, but those are some of the all of them
Yeah.
are empowerment books. That's the big thing. All of them are
Got it.
empowerment
Right.
books. And I hope to, I don't know if it's going to be this year or next year. I really want to have my own solo book that I do. I have a number of
Mm.
ideas.
Mhm.
There's like two or three different books already floating in my mind. So
Yeah.
to be continued, dot, 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 right? And so now,
Okay,
am I
nice.
a reader? Yes, not reading as much as I want because I actually told myself I want to read X amount per day. And I have not been doing that. So I'm saying this aloud, and now you'll have to hold me accountable. So I am a reader.
Okay.
I am a listener. I do listen to a lot of books on Audible. I
Mhm. Mhm.
also am a watcher. I listen, I grew up on TV. I love TV, and I know it was like turn up. I don't watch news, but I love watching good series. I love watching a good mystery or a good thriller or a good action packed show. So I still love my TV. I don't let it get in the way when I have to do things like I haven't watched the show
Sure.
right
Yeah.
now in a few, watched full shows in a few days, probably since the weekend. But I am all of the above. And what I'm listening to, okay, what I'm reading right now are like, there is a Kenyan author that I'm reading. She wrote her memoir. I'll take a dose of self-love with that. It's called something like that. Her name is Coach Cece. And then also I'm listening to a book right now. What's the big deal about grace? Anyway, it's talking about God's grace and us having grace as well.
Mhm.
What am I'm watching? First of all, I'm watching so many shows, but one show that is intriguing right now with his fine chocolate self is Paradise.
Oh, new everyone is on
Oh my
Paradise.
goodness.
So, yeah, I went to university with Sterling.
What? Oh my,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm starstruck. Wow. He is beautiful and
Yeah.
he helps the show, but the show is actually really, really good. So that's probably the main things that I'm watching. And I'm watching some, I like some British mysteries too. I think the Brits know how to do mysteries really well
Okay.
too. So
Yeah, they do. Like, yeah, I watch so when I'm in the US, I watch PBS. That's pretty much the only TV that I watch when I'm there. And so I catch the
that
Masterpiece,
mysteries, yeah.
series and everything like that. And they're just really well written.
Yes, and that is basically I'm
So,
watching
yeah.
those. Yeah, basically I'm watching those. So along those lines, and a lot of them are on BritBox, which I have too. So I'm watching a lot of
Oh,
these
right.
shows. So that is yeah. So that is what I'm doing, listening to, reading, all of the above.
Okay. Nice. I love it. So, when we've kind of met, you were mentioning something that's new and next for you. So, as we're drawing our conversation to a close, tell us what's new and next for Coach Vuyanzi.
Oh my gosh. You know what? I would say that it's all around really launching, doing a more formal launch of the Career Passion Accelerator. It exists. However, there's a lot of shifting that has to be done as a digital only program that's new. Well, it's next. It's next. It's not new, but it's next. And new is right now is hiring a personal assistant. That's one of the reasons why it's taken me so long. So I've had a couple of
Hmm.
personal assistants before. However, this one is more of a bigger leap of faith because I'm getting someone who has more experience and will really help my business.
Mm.
So new is the personal assistant. Hopefully by within a few days, I will know exactly who I will have. And next
Oh, good.
launch of the career, like the official launch of the Career Passion Accelerator digital only program.
I love it. I love it. And I'm sending you great vibes on the hiring because that is a huge undertaking. It's so difficult because I think people underestimate managing someone to do what you want them to do for you effectively. And I think we think that we've communicated well in our minds sometimes, and then it just all breaks down because we've forgotten that they're not in our minds.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
so that's a big part of it. So good
Thank
luck
you.
with
Thank you for
that.
the good vibes.
It's going to be fine.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Yay. Okay. So where can we find you? And just if you could just give us all your socials, which will also be in the show notes. We have great show notes again. So tell us where we can find you, where we can direct folks to get your services, all of that good stuff.
Absolutely. So you can find me on YouTube. It's Find Your Voice, which I'm finding because of the algorithms. If you type that in, then you won't see
It's
it.
a lot.
So,
Yeah.
so I hope they will go to your show notes to find that link for the Find Your Voice show with Coach Vuyanzi. Also, you can find me, whether it's Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok at Coach Vuyanzi. Just simple Coach Vuyanzi.
Okay. Very
Yeah. And
easy. Yeah.
Facebook is actually my full name, just Vuyanzi Rodman. There's a whole, eventually I'll need to change that. But for right now, Facebook is Vuyanzi Rodman. So for the most part, if you type in Coach Vuyanzi Rodman, Coach Vuyanzi.
Everything
Yeah,
comes up.
yeah. So that is what's up.
Okay.
I've enjoyed my time here. Thank you. I love this conversation. So thank you
Yay.
for allowing me to be a part of this part of your journey.
Yes. Wonderful. And can you share, do you have any last thoughts you'd like to share with our listeners?
Oh my goodness. Be open to where you're being led. Be open to your purpose. Be open to discovering you at this juncture.
Mm-hmm. I like it. That is be open and to discovering you, because that is the self-discovery is the longest journey that we'll be in with ourselves. And so we got to be open to finding and being in it wholeheartedly. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Thank you so much. All right, Glocal citizens, this has been another episode of the podcast. You can catch us Tuesdays with new episodes at glocalcitizenspod.com or wherever you get your podcasts. Please do like, share, subscribe, leave us a review. We love to hear from you. Check out the show notes because they're always really good and a way to connect with our guests. And until next time, bye for now.